don't hear it.
He said,
Then when I call, and the people don't hear me.
I think it's
I was
just a
screaming,
show.
we're in Walmart, and I'm screaming at her trying to
It's just a
sound
show.
like she is.
Like when you do a backdrop or something like that.
I'm in Walmart, I'm calling her. She don't hear me. She turned on the phone, started calling me. I answered the phone, I said, hello, I heard her voice, hello, but she can hear me talk.
Hold on a minute, I'm just forwarding everybody that
we need to get a hold of you about, the employee thing. Oh, yeah. So, sounds like you need an assistant at, Mr. Sanchez. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it. He probably needs one, and I'll get my original bag. And, anyone else that needs one. Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, I do. I need one. Thank you so
Thank
much. I
you.
appreciate it.
You've really been a help, thank you. You brought up the computer and so somebody got my original though.
It is Sunday. I was awfully surprised on a Sunday. It was nice and quiet
It's
today.
okay,
Wonderful day.
Why are you so dark?
Huh?
Why are you so dark?
Dark?
Like dark, like me. You're on vacation.
I don't know.
You can take a little trip around.
Ready? Time is 5:02. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can you please call the roll?
Trustee Sanchez,
Here.
trustee Reyes-Plummer,
Here.
trustee Jones, trustee Ladford,
Yeah.
trustee Peppers, trustee Brandon, and Mayor Booker.
Oh, I'm just trying to make sure people aren't trying to get into.
Mayor Booker,
Here.
thank you. You have a form.
Wait, if somebody comes into the room, they don't have to do a request to get in, right?
Pardon?
If somebody requests to get into them, they don't have to do a request to get in, right?
Okay,
Like if they come in, will they automatically let them in?
Yep.
I just don't want trustee Brandon to come in and try to get in, and we can't see.
It's in the back here.
Okay, perfect. All right, gonna do invocation and then stand for the pledge of allegiance. I did that backwards. So we'll go ahead and do the invocation. Father, in the name of Jesus, I pray that we come together in order to do what is right for the village of Maywood and to do what is just, fair and equitable for our community to move forward. I pray that we have no strife. We all can figure out a way to work together and move this community forward in a positive direction. For your name, in Jesus' name, amen. All right, want to stand for the pledge?
Pledge
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, public comment?
All right, Mrs. Perkins?
To the mayor, manager, clerk, board, citizens of the village of Maywood, I, Win Perkins, asking these questions. What about our property on Fifth and Roosevelt? We haven't heard anything concerning it. And what's happening to our enterprise zone, and when will there be a meeting? Did we get a supervisor for the 911 center, which the village of Maywood paid $1.2 million for? And we have not heard anything, and when is that supposed to be a meeting? When will the village of Maywood Christmas decoration get put up? Because they know we're late, and the surrounding communities already have theirs up. And the village of Maywood, the village of Broadview has an awesome set of decorations. Our village of Maywood police and fire finances are in order. We are not behind. Just want to let the citizens know we are not behind on that issue, because I heard something at the last meeting concerning that, so I just want the citizens to know that the past board made sure that we were not behind in that. The reason I let the citizens know, the reason that there's not, they're not doing a levy is because the past board made sure that the finances was paid off for the debt. And also, we will be receiving money from the buyers. So I just want the citizens to know that that's the reason that they are not doing a levy. So I want the citizens to know that's the reason that they're not doing a levy. It has nothing to do with the present board. It has to do with your past board. Thank you.
Thank you, that's the end of public
Thank you.
comment.
All right, so we're gonna go to 6, new business. 6A, consideration and discussion to purchase versus rent holiday decorations. So I sent an email from village manager Wells Armstrong in regards to the recommendation from Department of Public Works in regards to the decorations. Apparently there was a contract that was signed for the old decorations that we all agreed to pull back in March of this year. But after speaking with legal, that contract is not valid because we did not actually vote on it. So after speaking to Attorney Jerusik, that's not a contract that we actually have to abide by. So what we see before us is either one, the Christmas decor system, which is $7,550, with the $17,550. The reason that we're having this discussion today is because, it's literally $100,000 of rental every 5 years versus actually owning our decorations. So in the quote, there is 1 display sales of decorations. Director West, the $16,108 one from Temple Display, is that rental or own?
Good evening, Mayor Ford. The quotes from Temple Display and from Display Sales are for purchase.
Okay.
The $16,000 one is for pole-mounted decorations. So you see Temple Display has 2 quotes that they gave you, one for garland and one for pole-mounted decorations, which we would need to, you would have to decide which ones you want. Like candles, like for example, I put off in the quote a candle, P701, which has 3 candles. The hiccup with that is Temple Display cannot deliver the items before December 6th. Even that was back Monday when we
then the display sales one, it doesn't have a final.
Well, I took the underlined
Okay.
two categories, and those are just for the garlands. And again, the hiccup with them is that all of their decorations are at 110 volts. Your poles are 240.
Okay.
They don't sell 240.
So
You have to put a step down on the poles to create a 110 circuit, which would be another failure point if something goes wrong.
what's the step now?
It's like an adapter.
Oh,
You have to put an adapter on the poles to sort of step it down from 240 down to 110 so that you can run those decorations. But the problem with that, besides them not selling the 240, is that now you have to get H&H involved. And H&H, I spoke with them, they can't get enough step downs to put all the decorations from Madison up to Lake Street.
mhm.
It was for December 4th.
How much of the
I didn't
step
go-
downs are in the quote?
No, step downs are not in code, that's something with confirmation age, but when we did the electrical circuit on the poles, they were $745 per pole.
You said seven?
The,
$745 a pole to put the electrical outlets on the poles. That was at the 240. So put a step down on there, probably won't be 700, but I imagine it won't be less than half. It'll probably be $300 a pole.
so then this display sales quote is actually useless for us.
I'm just gonna tell you the options that I was just giving it all to you, all the options that I've been able to discover in
Gotcha.
terms of purchase.
Okay.
What could involve.
Okay, so then the temple display one, that's for the 16,000.
That's 16,000 if you're buying pole mounted decorations. If you go with garland, it's a different quote. I gave you that quote as well.
So the garland, the natural branch garland of the 35 quantity is the 11,418.75, and then the 24 red bowls, 2 per pole, is the additional $4,690.
Yes, it'd be like $500, I think, or something per set of bowls, but that can be made into one bowl if the board wanted to go that route. The board could even decide that they don't want to do bowl at the top of it at all. It could just be garland down the pole. I don't know what the will would be on that. Just giving again all the options. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. So I was just giving all of the options on the garland quote. Just shows what the garland is, and then if you want to make the decoration complete, to put a bow on the top of it to make it one, look like a holiday decoration. It's an optional thing. You don't have to go that route.
And if we do the 11,000 of the temple, the 11,418, that can be done by the 4th?
No, all of this stuff is about, after 6. Everything that they can provide.
So regardless, none of this will be done by the 4th.
None of it can be put up by the 4th, just with the exception of Christmas decor, whom,
The renting contract that we have authorized that was signed?
well, again, Mayor, you all didn't make that comment until like March, as you pointed out.
It wasn't on the board packet
There
to
was
that March.
there was no conversation prior to when the season, as you can see now, when the season begins, it starts really in October. So there's a decision that has to be made between October and early November, which way you're gonna go. You didn't have contracts with them before, they just came to the board, to the village and said, we can lock you in at this rate,
All right.
and that was the only thing. Prior to that, you had year to year, it was year to year.
I guess I'm just thinking, so when we canceled the contract back in March, or when we pulled the contract in March, and then we did not move forward with a 3-year contract, we just agreed to pay the 2020. We didn't do anything after that in regards to a different option.
Discussion that the board had about what decorations they wanted to have, or which direction they want to go with decoration. Beyond saying they really want to use that group again, conversation didn't come back up until November.
Gotcha. Okay, so then, really the only, aside from renting another $17,000 worth of decorations, just to return it, The only other option that we have before us is the temple. That would be 35 poles for $11,418.75. But then we would own that material. And then the 70 24-inch red vinyl bows, where then we would own that.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody on the board? Trustee Sanchez.
Do we have storage for all this?
Well, prior to the recommendation that came to me about over at the golf range, no, we didn't have storage for it, but we just want to place it over at the golf range, which was a recommendation that came forward, and probably can't.
But that would be temporary.
Well, I mean, it would sit there until we take it out to put it back up. I don't know what the plan is for the golf range outside of the line.
So, in order for us to purchase anything, we need to rectify from 240 to 120.
Not if we do the temple display, right?
Yeah, not if you do the temple. The temple has the 240 bolted.
So we wouldn't have to touch the poles. And the temple is what, 17?
The temple, if we do the temple, it's 11,418 for the garland with the lighting. But if we add the bows in, it's an additional 4,700. So realistically, we don't need the bows. So we can.
And that will be ours, 11 Gs, 11
We would
grand.
own it.
And that will be up and down Fifth Avenue.
That will be down Fifth Avenue from Madison to Lake Street.
Legs.
And then like next year, we can focus on other decorations to buy and still own.
What did we have last year?
You had multiple different fixtures. You
Yeah.
had candles, angels,
On the poles, on the
Yeah.
actual,
but you decorated 115 poles. So you.
and that was the entire village.
Right, well, not the entire.
I mean, the main
Up and down
corridors.
the main corridors,
For Roosevelt,
Lake
Lake Street,
Street, and Madison all the way to like,
17.
just a little past, I think it was almost to 19.
And that was what, 11? No, that was,
That was 17.
that was 17.
But that's just rental, we don't
That-
own that.
That was, again, I think you've been on the board for a minute. The number has gone up as the village put more poles into service. So we started out with really like $11,000 that we spent on Christmas decorations, but as the board said, polarize more poles so we can put up more lit decorations, and the price went up because you're renting more. So still been my recommendation that you go with the rental for one more year. The contractor he's aware that you don't want to go with them anymore. He's willing to come new year to work with us to either purchase some, brand new ones, help us build some out so that we could have. But I think it's a better view for the village to have the whole 115 poles versus the 35. And that's a board decision. I think the manager.
Manager Wills Armstrong.
Okay. This started because of conflicting information. I am not aware, and I just want to be clear, Mayor, you said that the attorney said that we don't have a contract?
He has the contract that's signed, but we didn't sign, we didn't approve it, so that's not our contract. So when I spoke with him 2 days ago, he said that we can move forward with the purchasing and not have to deal with that contract.
Okay, that's not what I got. That's not my understanding of what's going on. So I was trying to not put the village in a position where we would have risk with litigation, because the first thing that the vendor said is that they have a signed contract, which I sent to you guys. I'm just seeking board direction in terms of the specifics of decorations. That's an operations issue. I just, the attorney told me that the 17.5 and the finance director confirmed that 17,000 was allocated. The board has already made the allocation. So.
The budget allocation.
The budget of 17.
Right.
It's in the current budget, correct.
Right. So I just don't want, this vendor has a signed contract,
That the board did not approve.
but he still has a signed contract.
So that would put us in litigations. Crosshairs?
When the last message that he left for me is that when I called him, we are missing each other, the vendor. He said that I told him that the board wasn't happy with the decorations, they were wanting something more updated, and that was the impression I was under, so I need to be clear, is that coming from the board? And, he said that he would be willing, he wants us to honor the contract that was signed for this year, and he understands that you may wanna do something differently next year. So that is the dilemma for me.
Is he trying to
I'm
do, is he trying to do the
Question.
same exact decorations as this year?
Sorry, say again, man?
Is he trying to do the same decorations as he did last year?
Well,
We
that's
can
what I
pick,
put-
yeah, we can pick out, we can look at what he has.
That's what I put inside of the packet, is that, you can go with with the decorations that you had from last year, or he's got a couple of updated decorations that he sent forward, one of which I thought that was kind of, he's satisfied the board, is they have a starburst. If you want to put starburst all around town versus having anything else, to have all starburst around town, and it's on the flyer at the top of the packet that I sent. I don't know, I think I sent it where it was in color so you could see it. These are,
Can you pull up the Starburst, like on the computer? Cause it's not in the packet.
so, what I could
We-
probably do is to email it to you so that you get the whole packet.
Can you shoot it to me as an email?
Mayor,
So,
Wait, trustee Lightfoot, then trustee Brandon.
what is our budget? How much do we have to spend? We talking about different prices.
So-
What is our budget in the first place?
In the budget is $17,550.
Right. So we're gonna go for that or go lower?
So we're gonna go for that or go lower. The conversation really is, do we wanna deal with another year of rental? Or do we wanna actually purchase? The issue of a contract signed that wasn't actually voted on by this board is a problematic issue on the operation side from signing contracts without approval, above the authorized amount. But what we're discussing right now is, do we want to go another year of the rental? And if we're gonna go another year of the rental, what would that look like from a decoration standpoint? Or if we're actually gonna go with the purchase and deal with the vendor in regards to the contract that he had that the board did not authorize.
Now, if we rent this material, they get it, if you rent the material, then, they get it back, and we didn't pay, put that money up for nothing. If you didn't buy it, where are we gonna store it?
So the storage would be, we could store it at the golf range garage that currently just needs to be cleaned out, and we can put the stuff in there. Or we could store it at the 1100 building that the village owns as well. Right, that's where the storage could go currently. But realistically, when you look at previous villages, such as, rentals in the past of Bellwood, like everybody who used to rent now own their decorations. Because if you think about it from the standpoint, you're spending nearly $100,000 every 5 years to rent. And that, to me, I'm just not big on renting. So with that thought process, that's why we're having this conversation and discussion. Trustee Brown.
Well, then, wait a minute, I'm not finished. So I'm asking, okay, from your style, what you're saying, if we get these starbursts, that'd be enough to cover all the poles, most of the poles?
If
and
we
the
go with the different decorations from the.
And then we buy them, and then next year,
We're not buying them this year.
No.
If we do the Starburst, we're agreeing to do this last rental with the guy. We're not doing the decorations that we did last time. He's gonna do a different set of decorations with the understanding that he'll have the opportunity to present a different option of decorations.
it'll do more of the
In the
city,
previous
more
year.
of the city be covered, is that
Well,
what I'm hearing?
the goal moving
More of the city be
forward-
covered.
The goal moving forward will be ownership. So whatever deal we can get when it's not 3 weeks or 4 weeks before Christmas, I'm sure would be a better deal of ownership than such like late in the last minute. So if there's a Starburst decoration, I haven't seen it, but
I'll send it to you.
It's
if you just show it to everybody, and then everybody be able to see. Trustee Brandon.
Yeah, I just wanted to communicate a few things. Again, I spoke to the manager about this.
Your mic's not working.
it would just be, one.
Yeah, we have to propose to the one. That's
So this thing.
the top.
that will be on all 137.
If that's what you want, if you wanna go with just.
Would that be the same price?
And that'd be the 17.5?
I'm good, I'm good.
I think there's bigger profit.
Okay, so would everybody be okay with the
Mayor,
17?
let me,
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to communicate something really fast, in regards to, and I communicated this to, Manager, Armstrong in regards to, first of all, this very meeting being held on a Sunday. On a Sunday, evening. And so, I communicated with, the manager that my sentiments in regards to what's on this agenda and what constitutes, emergency meeting. So we're here on a Sunday evening, talking about Christmas decorations. To me, and in my opinion, that does not constitute a emergency meeting to bring us out here on a Sunday to talk about Christmas decorations. And so, the other thing in regards to the Christmas decorations, so I looked at the contract. So the contract looked like it was signed back in 2020 for a 3-year period. Is that correct?
Well, as I explained earlier, prior to last year, and the season begins, we began trying to get the decorations together in like October, because the company is in Indiana. They service like 115, 120 communities. So they start gathering their supplies in October, and they put them up. They start putting them up the day after Thanksgiving. So yeah, the contract with them, because they were locking us into a rate, saying this will be your rate 2020, 2021, 2022, 17.5, no matter what you do. So that's, and so make a decision, try to go that route. Now, I understand what the mayor said, and certainly village manager has, taken me to task about how things are supposed to go, and we'll go that way going forward. But right now, I'm just trying to make sure we don't miss the season this year. Something else, move on. Understand the commentary of where the board wants to go to own its own decorations. We can work with any vendor, starting in January, start building, get some of the stuff that's on sale, or them to have a sale where they're cutting things, we start buying then you'll have a better choice of things, and we can get the decorations that might suit the eye, the aesthetics of the board and the community want to see.
And so one of the issues that came to mind as I was looking at this to begin with is the capacity. So do we even have the capacity, which is like the equipment, to go up and take up anything within the village? So one of the things I know when we were even doing like a few years ago, and we had an issue with like put up like signage and things of that nature, is because and one of the issues that we bumped into is we didn't have a bucket truck to be able to go and put up these decorations as well. So we have to look at the some of these things from a different lens to make sure we even have the capacity to do it. So when I saw that, that was one of my concerns, and the fact that we were just a few weeks away from Christmas was the other. It was like, is this a need now? And I Kevin spoke to the mayor a little bit about that briefly as well. It's like, we're a few weeks away. Like, is this like a must that we have to do something like right now pertaining to this? And I think that we have to just make sure, just going forward, we just understand the operations of this village and understand like what our roles are. And I've been saying this from the beginning, there appears to be like some cross wiring in regards to how we are operating. And I'm gonna be honest, because I'm here on a Sunday evening talking about some decorations. And this is a holiday weekend. There appears to be some cross wiring here in regards to how we're operating and who's operating the village and who's running the day-to-day operations of this town. And I'm gonna say it because it needs to be said. I don't know who the manager is. I don't know if it's Ms. Armstrong or if it's Booker or Mayor Booker. Just how things are operating. And the fact that I'm here on a Sunday evening talking about some decorations is definitely a situation. But I want to make sure I was here because I never missed a meeting since I've been on this board. But yeah, I just wanted to, and to my colleagues that's on this board, I would hope that you guys recognize what's happening here as well in regards to you know, the fact that we're here on a Sunday, talk about some decorating, like, did someone get killed? There's a water main break that we need to address something that's over a certain threshold, like, those things are emergency, not no Christmas decorations.
If I might,
So,
before you
let me
move
just
on.
clarify real quick. The reason that we're here is because there is no approval for whatever decorations we do. This board did not vote on decorations for 2021. So that's why we're here. At the end of the day, even if we go with Christmas decor systems, Director West has just shown everybody the Christmas lights and the stars. That's a contract. For the record, the board does need to vote on a $17,500 contract. In order to have the decorations hung up sooner than later, there needs to be a vote on record for this contract, which there is not currently a vote on record for this contract. Even though it was signed in September, it was not authorized. The contract didn't even come before the board until March of 2021, although it was signed in September of 2020. The board then pulled the contract. We never voted on it. So that's why, in order to, even if we move forward with Christmas decor, we still need to vote on a contract of $17,000. That's why we're here. But I think, yeah.
So I just want to be very clear. As it pertains to public works, Chastity Wells Armstrong is the village manager. She has been very firm in her directions of how she wants things operated and which way she wants us to go. With this particular issue, again, I'm presenting to you that I think that the best option is to go with Christmas decor for this year, and understanding that we'll go a different direction in the next year. But the starburst that I showed you is the option that you can choose, and I'm just pointing it out because I don't know what was really not appealing to the board with the other decorations. So, you know, there are some trees, some zigzag trees, but these things have garland on them. I thought that maybe the board would prefer things that didn't have garland. It was just a straight light, so you brightness up into all.
And they will be installing.
Yes,
They're gonna
they'll put them up.
They're gonna have the bucket truck, they're gonna do the install.
Yes, they'll put them up. I just wanted to say that, you know, I think she's.
No.
I have a question really quick.
Trustee Reyes Plummer.
If we do the rentals, when are they gonna go up?
This company always begins putting them up the day after Thanksgiving.
Okay, and then if we did our own, it would be after the 4th, correct?
Right. You
Okay.
don't have to get them, and then secure automatic put them up.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. Village Manager Wells Armstrong.
Trustee Brandon, I understand that you are upset about being here on a Sunday. I'm sure that most people are. However, I take offense to the comment that you don't know who the village manager is. I am the village manager. I come to work every day. I'm here every day, working for the village of Maywood. Part of the issue is direction from the board. When things are communicated to me or to some department heads, we are not clear if that is coming from the entire board or is that just coming from the mayor. And this situation is an operational issue. You all do not need to sit here and pick out decorations. I am fully aware of that, and I am fully aware of my role in my job. I'm just asking for direction so that I'm making sure that we are properly doing our job. There is a contract that has been signed. My recommendation was to honor the contract, but we've been getting pushback on wanting to do different things and wanting to purchase. It does make sense to purchase, I understand that, but right now, we have a signed contract. And to avoid this village being put in a position of litigation because the contract was signed, it's a no-brainer. And in terms of what we put up, it's operations, period.
Absolutely.
So then, my question is, it's not a no-brainer for me, because the question would be, if we are to go with Christmas Decor 2021 and actually vote as the board, which is our job to vote on finances, not the day-to-day operations, would we get a new contract for him that gives him 2021, but does not honor that September 2020 contract? Would we be able to get a signed contract that this board is voting on, saying that we're agreeing to 2021, but then we will put out, say, a RFP for 2022, and he's most certainly welcome to do that, but we are not saying that that September 2020 contract is valid? Would he be willing to sign that new contract? Because we didn't vote on that contract.
Technically, the contract says that we are partnered for 2020, 2021, and 2020 is what's typed in the contract. It doesn't even say 2022 in the contract. It references 3 years, but it doesn't, when he spells out the years, it's 2020, 2021, 2020.
So even with this typo, I don't wanna, the September 2020 contract to me is not a valid contract. We didn't vote on that contract. So can we actually get from Christmas Decor, if we are to go the direction of Christmas Decor, can we get a new contract that stipulates 2021 decorations with him understanding he can put in an offer or a proposal for 2022? But the September 2020 contract should not be something that we have to deal with because we didn't, as a board, vote on it. That's what I'm asking. Like, can he sign, will he sign a new contract?
I spoke with him about, I can call him tomorrow, about what you just requested, but he is well aware that 2022, the village of Maywood is not doing rental.
I will follow up with
Perfect. I just want to make sure that that's,
Yeah,
I could do
he's
that.
well aware.
I'm not against him. I don't know what he can do. I just want to make sure that we're not, even with the 2020, 2020 typo, that we're not stuck to that. Because when the invoice got submitted, it did say 2022 back in March. So it's like, even though the paperwork of what was signed said 2020 as a typo, the invoice information in the line item did say 2022. So I just want to make sure we have a contract that says only 2021, and then we can deal with 2022 moving forward. If everybody on the board is okay with Christmas decor, using the starlight and going with that direction,
Are
we just need a
stipulating
motion.
the decoration too?
Would prefer that it's not the decorations from the past. That's, so the stars are new. We haven't had that in the past, so if he's saying that he can do that, that would be my preference. So we would just need a motion to approve a 2021 agreement with Christmas Decor for the 135 poles? 115 poles
For the rental, correct?
for the rental for 2021.
Motion to approve.
We got a motion to approve by trustee Brandon, second by trustee Reyes Plummer. Are there any questions?
Mayor,
Trustee Sanchez.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. Going forward, every contractual agreement that we have for multiple years will now have to be looked at. I think that is gonna be the bigger picture out of all of this decoration or nonsense. Whether we want stars or stripes or what have you. Going forward, now it's gonna be the task of the village manager to talk to her department heads on any contractual agreements so that we don't fall under litigations or we don't fall under what have yous and what have nots. The bigger picture of all of this isn't the actual decoration, the decor. The bigger picture is the agreements that we are getting into with vendors. I just want to make that clear and for the record. And it was an emergency to come and talk about this. It wasn't an emergency to talk about decor, but it was an emergency to talk about going forward. Definitely was.
Just
Your opinions are your opinions and my opinion.
Trustees. It's not worth it. It's, at the end of the day, we have a motion on the floor, we have a second.
Just to make it clear, the comment in terms of the village manager addressing the matter, the village manager issued a memo and declaration over the last 2 weeks informing all of staff that all contracts need to go through her not to do anything else. So operationally, the village manager is doing exactly what you have already stated.
It was definitely not anything towards her. It was towards you.
Yeah, I know.
It was towards you and every other department head that has made agreements or contracts or whatnot. Now, it's her due diligence to make sure that we're all up to code.
And I don't run from the mistakes that I make, trustee. I'll stand up and own them at any point in time.
All right. Thank you. Can you please call the roll?
Trustee Sanchez,
Aye.
trustee Reyes Plummer,
Aye.
trustee Jones, trustee Lightford,
Aye.
trustee Peppers, trustee Brandon,
Aye.
and Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion's carried.
All right, so 6B, consideration and discussion to reactivate the snow removal process program. This is looking at the fact that when the budget was done for 2021, 2022, that we removed a lot of community engagement activities and funding. And one of those things was the senior snow removal program. This season, there have been multiple calls from seniors, parents, kids, caretakers, all alike, and then companies that actually provide services in regards to reactivating the senior snow removal program. We have saved money or not spent various money within the budget for this fiscal year. So in the past, there has been a $20,000 allotment for the snow removal program. $10,000? Okay. $10,000 allotment for the snow removal program. So at this time, staff is looking for direction of saying there is money that has not been spent, or there are things in the budget that can be moved around to accommodate this program. It's a program that every village around us provides to their seniors. We definitely needed to provide it to our seniors. If I'm understanding the program correctly, in the past though, we take $100 from the seniors. One recommendation after speaking to multiple different mayors, we are the only village that kind of either the villages offer it for free or they offer it at a charge at the time of if it snows. So for instance, like the village of Maywood charges $25 every time it snows for a senior and they put it on their water bill. So instead of charging the flat $100 rate, maybe we could do that as an option of charging the $25 per time it snows, because from what I'm understanding, it would be if it wasn't a bad season, the seniors would want their money back. Manager Wells Armstrong.
I think you're getting into operations again. And again, we're seeking direction, so.
Of the 10,000, okay, so let's stick with that.
Yeah.
All right.
The finance director confirmed 10,000, she put 10,000 for grass cutting and 10,000 for senior snow removal. It was suspended when the previous board made decisions to not increase the levy, to protect taxpayers from a levy increase. But with that, there was a compromise that some things would have to be suspended, and this was one of those things. So if we're gonna talk about who's gonna be charging, you know, and what a program would look like, that is operations, and the operations team needs to do that if you all are saying that you want it. Now, with that being said, as the village manager, yes, we have funding that we haven't spent, that the board allocated, but we also have costs that were unforeseen as well. We've spent money at the 200 building for repairs, the mayor's vehicle. The clerk has tons of ordinances that it costs every time you update an ordinance. Her budget is already going to, she doesn't have enough money allocated right now in her budget to meet the demand of the new ordinances that have taken place under the new administration. Homeland Security was not factored under the previous board. We do have some departments, our phone bills are excessive. DPW and code have a couple line items that are already over 200% of budget. So I just want to be clear. It's $10,000, it's not a large amount, and I believe that we can accommodate that. But we also have costs that the previous board allocated for that have exceeded that budget allocation.
Mayor?
Trustee Brandon.
Yeah, I want to make a motion to accept the recommendation that has just been explained by the village manager to allocate the $10,000 and allow village staff to come up with the operation of the program.
Need a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by trustee Brandon, second by trustee Reyes Plummer. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Trustee Sanchez.
Now, staying in my lane and not asking, I still have to ask for an operational question for you. Like, when it snows, these guys are rocking. They don't stop. They're like robots. They turn from human to robot. They're killing it. Do they have enough manpower?
Or what were we done every year?
Trustee Sanchez, I did speak with Director West about what a plan would look like, and he think, but the issue is, it's not just $10,000. It's going to be overtime costs.
Yep, gas.
We're gonna need gas.
Salt.
We're gonna need, a blade for
Yeah.
one of the pieces of equipment. We may need a
Snow
snow blower.
blowers, equipment.
So we're looking
Something's
at,
gonna break.
we're looking at additional, that's what I'm here as, in my role, to explain that it's not just putting back $10,000.
Exactly.
There's going to be additional costs associated with this. I do believe we can do it, but I wanna be clear that we have other things in our budget right now that are exceeding the allocation that the previous board made for those line items. So you're giving us permission to exceed further if that's an issue. I just wanna be clear with that.
Are there any other questions? All right, please call the roll.
Trustee Sanchez?
Aye.
Trustee Reyes Plummer?
Aye.
Trustee Jones? Trustee Lightford?
Aye.
Trustee Peppers? Trustee Brandon?
Aye.
Mayor Booker?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, so, 6C is consideration and discussion on budget appropriation and amendment. So if staff is gonna remove the 10,000, we really don't need to do this. What do we need to offer?
I would recommend, and I've spoke with Trustee Jones since he is the chair of the Financial Accountability and Government Transparency Committee, that he work with Director Satchel to look at those areas that we haven't extended.
Cool.
And they have a meeting on Monday, tomorrow, I believe at 5:30,
So then,
or 5 o'clock,
is the
5:30,
motion to move it to the finance committee?
for them to have a discussion.
All right, so for 6C, well, we just need to agree to that. We don't need to do a motion. So is everyone fine for that to move over to Financial Transparency and Government Accountability Committee to review?
Yes.
Yes.
The $10,000.
The $10,000 allotment?
My question is, we have 6 months left in this fiscal year, we're going into winter season. I don't ever wanna be getting ahead of the board. So I need direction from you all, when these things are coming up for requests to pay for things, that you are authorizing, I don't know, if we've underspent, let's say, I'm giving a rough number here, $200,000, that you all are saying it's okay to use up to 20,000 or whatever to accommodate some of these requests. I just wanna make sure that we're not getting ahead of the board, and then that committee can work with our finance director.
Can we do this? Can we get a report? Because you just said that there are some items that were 200% over budget. But
You get the report and it's in
I'm saying,
the
no,
budget
this is what I'm asking.
report.
Can we put that together as a conversation of amendments that need to be made, amendments that are being recommended, and areas in which we need to amend the budget? Do that as just one special meeting of amendments and items that need to be fixed based on the current environment that we're in, so that we can specifically, as an entire board, have that conversation, hash that out, vote on it, and keep it moving, versus continuously coming back with multiple different line items as they come. So we could establish a special board meeting, maybe end of December or January, where we're doing amendments, if there are various amendments that need to take place, because initially we were supposed to do quarterly meetings, so we didn't do the one quarterly meeting this quarter. So if we could do that in either end of December or January, where we're literally discussing amendments.
Probably January, Mayor,
That's
because of the levy and all, everything that's going on with the
The
tips.
special, yep.
Yeah, joint review.
Okay.
I did talk to the finance director, probably January, but we just wanna make sure that we're not getting ahead of any of
Yeah.
you, and that there's some allocation authority for these things that are coming in.
Yes, I agree.
Mayor.
Trustee Brandon.
Yes, and I would just want to say I strongly agree that, that's the purpose of these committees, right? And anything pertaining to making any financial amendments should be addressed in the Fiscal Accountability and Transparency Committee and then brought back to this board for a recommendation. I know that, these committees are all new and new to everybody who's been on this board for some time, but we gotta work things through the appropriate channels and make sure that we are empowering the members of this board to operate under this new system that has been, put in place, and making sure that, we are working through those committees, because that's the most effective way to do it.
I hear you if it wasn't the entire budget. If it was those one-off situations that are being discussed, like say, if it was these $10,000 things, I could understand that. But initially, when we had the June 29th meeting, we said we were gonna have a meeting about amendments. So that was with the understanding that the committees would exist. But the whole board should know and should be more knowledgeable of what's in the budget, what needs to be moved around in the budget, versus having two trustees on a committee work through it, then just say, this is what we work through, versus everybody on the board having a full understanding of the budget. So we're discussing the entire budget and areas that need to be amended. We said on June 29th that we would have an amendment meeting. I think we should stick with that amendment meeting.
No, and let me, Mayor, to what you just stated, but anything needing any amendments should come before the Fiscal Accountability and Transparency. Because the purpose of the committee is to help that things prior to it arriving to the board, so that we can then help to highlight some things, and we're not sitting in a meeting for hours when you already had a committee to that. For how you just described it, tells me that, well, maybe we should look at going back to having a finance meeting like we did previously, where everybody is part of the conversation there, because then what's the purpose of the Fiscal Accountability and Transparency Committee?
Yeah. The only thing I asked for was that we have our quarterly meetings as a whole board that aren't traditional cows and that aren't traditional board meetings, which we agreed to. We had that quarterly meeting in June. We did not have that quarterly meeting this quarter. So I would like for the next quarter that we have that meeting, for the budget and the amendments to be that topic. If the Financial Transparency Committee so chooses to discuss finances in their November committee meeting and in their December committee meeting, because we're not having this meeting until January, great. But I think realistically, the entire board should be involved in a full conversation of the entire budget and what amendments need to happen, and that could simply be the topic of our quarterly meeting. That's all I'm saying. But we need a motion right now.
I have a question.
Trustee Reyes-Plummer.
So in order for us to get a clear understanding, we all have the right to go to, meaning trustees all have the right to go to any meeting, correct? So in order to kind of, I guess, say if we wanted to get information on what's happening financially, we have the right to go to their meeting and have an input and say something.
Sure.
So that would alleviate the quarterly meeting, correct?
Well, this quarter, I'm saying the quarterly meetings focus on other things. Like, so just saying this specific quarterly meeting, they could spend November and December talking about the budget with the finance department.
Okay.
And then when we have that quarterly meeting, let the focus be what amendments need to happen to the budget. Like, let that be part of that quarterly meeting and following up to make sure we as a full board are in full awareness of what's going on with the budget, what amendments need to take place, and why. That is what I'm saying. But regardless, I do believe that we should have quarterly meetings that are not traditional cows and that are not traditional board meetings to hash some of these things out or get better understanding, education, awareness, and knowledge on things.
Mayor?
That's all I'm asking or saying. Trustee Sanchez.
This is gonna come really handy, especially because winter is probably the most expensive season that the village has. We're going to start needing to figure out where to allocate $10,000 to public works when all our water lines start freezing up again. That's gonna happen, you know, that's a guarantee. So if we need to advocate on focusing now on that, I wanna be sure we put that topic on, because once February comes around, January comes around, and these water mains start blowing up, he's gonna need more cash.
I mean, just genuine conversation on the budget is what I would like to see, for everyone's education and awareness. All right, so right now,
You need a motion to adjourn?
well, wait a minute, from village manager. You want a motion for the $10,000 for,
We made it.
I want to, you gave me direction
So
to
you did.
allocate the $10,000. I think
Gotcha.
Brandon made the motion that to allocate the $10,000
Okay.
and have operations establish the program,
we called the roll on that already.
correct?
Yes.
So then we can go into adjournment then.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn by trustee Brandon, second by trustee Sanchez. Are there any questions?
Whatever that 15 minutes is.
Please call the roll.
Trustee Sanchez?
Here, yes.
Trustee Reyes Plummer?
Aye.
Trustee Jones? Trustee Library? Trustee Peppers?